First of all, I want to thank all of you guys for coming out and giving us this opportunity to share what we've been working on for the last year and a half. My name is Wilton Reisenhuber, and I'm the CEO of RobotDough. This is Olivier Moratine. He's our Vice President of Product Development. Now, RobotDough is a new equity research platform designed for non-professional investors. Now, there's a lot of stock market tools available to investors today, but if you look at them like we've looked at them, what you'll find is that most of them are really designed for day traders or active traders who are trying to predict the future price movements of companies. There really aren't any tools available to investors who want to do financial statement analysis in an effort to understand intrinsic values of companies. So we set out to change that gap, to close that gap. We started with the stock screener. Now, most stock screeners are going to give you a couple search terms like PE ratio or return on assets and provide you with a slider bar that allows you to select a range of values. We took a very different approach. We built this visual drag-and-drop query builder that allows investors to build free-form equations in an effort to give them a more sophisticated experience. So besides the PE ratio and the return on assets, we also provide things like free cash flow and enterprise value. We also allow the user to provide anything on the financial statements. So for example, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, and the income statement can all be used as inputs into your equation. So for example, if I wanted to find companies that had a lot of cash, I might be able to enter an equation that said something like price is greater than 1 and cash per share is greater than 20% of the share price. We can very quickly find companies that match this query on RobotDough. Now, this kind of query is simply not possible on other stock screeners because they don't allow you to do equations with ranges on each side. Now, you can see that we have a list of companies that match this query quite quickly. Another example we might want to use is, let's take a look at the PE ratio. I'm going to be very liberal with the valuation number here and say let's find companies that have a PE ratio of less than 50. But let's also add a little twist here and say let's find companies that have a free cash flow of less than 0. See what comes up here. Now, again, we're using free cash flow here. This is a term that you can't generally find on other stock screeners. But what you'll see here is it's very important to be able to look for these kinds of companies. What you're seeing here is that there's over 2,000 companies that are currently traded on the market today that actually are reporting positive earnings, but actually have negative free cash flow. Now, the question, of course, is would you invest in these companies? You wouldn't want to, but if you were just using PE ratio as your criteria, you might end up investing them on accident. Now, we think this is a pretty big deal. But today we're announcing an even bigger deal. Today we're announcing an expansion of our coverage from the 10,000 companies traded in the United States to 45,000 companies traded around the world. So essentially, every publicly traded company on the planet is in our database and now screenable on RobotDough. Now, we think that this combination of our visual drag-and-drop query builder and the 45,000 companies traded around the world makes the RobotDough stock screener the most powerful stock screener available to consumers today. But that wasn't enough for us. We really wanted to explore the idea of providing users with the ability to build strategies that make money. So if you think about it, a stock screen is really an investment strategy. And a stock screen tells you what you might want to invest in at a certain point in time, at a static point in time. But it doesn't tell you if that strategy would have made money over a period of time. In order to do that, it would be nice if you could take that strategy and go back in time and test it against historical market data and see how it would have performed. Well, today we're announcing the debut of our global cloud-based backtesting system that does just that. Our system will allow you to take any strategies that you can build with our stock screener and go back in time and test it against historical market data and see how it would have performed. We have 20 years of fundamental data in our database covering the 45,000 companies traded around the world. In addition, we have 15,000 of inactive companies that were traded at one point in time but were perhaps delisted because of whatever problems they might have had. This is very important because it eliminates survivorship bias in the results of your backtest and provides you with a much better figure on how a strategy might have performed. You can see the results here. We give you the winners and losers. We also give you some ratios and the trade history so that you can investigate where the companies might have gone good or kind of gone bad. Now, we think this is a big deal. There's actually no other company in the world, no other product in the world that provides this kind of power, the ability to do backtesting on global companies on fundamentally based strategies at a price point that consumers can afford. Now, there's one other thing that's important here is that once you have a strategy that you like, once you dial it in and you like it, the thing that is really powerful about RobotDough is that you can then subscribe to it. And we will run that strategy every day for you, every night, with new data, and send you an email whenever you have, with your new picks. So that way you can save time and not have to come back to your stock screener every day to see what you should be investing in. Now, we've got over 800 strategies in the database. We've got several thousand users who are creating strategies. If you feel like creating a strategy is too much for you, and I think there's probably a lot of people who might feel that way, you can actually come and browse the strategies that we have, subscribe to them, and get your picks on a daily basis. We're very excited about this. We have a lot more things in the works. Come over to our booth after the break, and we'll give you some stock tips, and we'd love to talk to you then. Thank you very much.